Time you on my life.
Money.
All right, let's go, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Paul Gough audio experience and show. A Matcha with Paul is now officially the title of these podcasts. Coffee with Goughy is so last century. We're in Matcha territory these days. Type into the chat if you're just coming in. Hello on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, the Instagram. Nice to see you coming in. When you do get in, say hello. We'll give you a shout out. Tell us where you're from. What country are you watching or listening to from? And for full disclosure, you will get full benefit of today's show if you are watching. If you are watching today's show, you will experience the full force of Matcha with Paul today, because I know what many of you are thinking already on YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok. What is Tom Cruise doing in Paul's studio? Has Tom Cruise developed an English accent? I know that's what you are thinking right now. Well, I am looking like Tom Cruise right now, and I'm feeling like Tom Cruise, but I'm not Tom Cruise. Although I do think I'm getting close to. Am I close? Do you think?
I'd say you're pretty close.
Can I pass? Yeah, can I pass?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll try our best. And there's a reason that I'm dressed as Tom Cruise today. And do we have any airplane music or kind of American anthem flags? Give me the American anthem. Give me the American anthem. Jay. Are we there? Is it on? So we have the American anthem playing. And the reason is today's the big day. It's the biggest day of 2026 in the Planet Paul community, and we are officially announcing live from Orlando. Stay tuned till after the break. Something very special is being announced. I'm going to tell you in just a minute. But we're going to answer some great questions again. It's Friday afternoon. It's a big day in the Gough house. It is little Grayson's birthday today. Are you ready for this? He's not 6. He's 7. So last night when he went to bed, we had the discussion. Are you 6 or are you 7? And the whole house launched into 6, nearly 7. And that was our little soundtrack last night before bed. But my 6-year-old is now a 7-year-old. It's Grayson's birthday today, so it's a big day. Do we have happy birthday music, round of applause, anything like that? We are off to Magic. Where are we off tonight? MGM. I still call it MGM. Does anybody else listening to this still call it MGM Studios? When I was a kid, it was MGM. It's Disney's Hollywood Studios these days. So we're off there tonight to celebrate his 7th birthday, and we are we're excited. We're gonna have fun with the babies tonight as we go. Are we all right, Joe? Are we good? Are we on? I can't see myself on YouTube
we should be good.
just yet. Are we there? Definitely.
Yeah.
Am I pressing the right? Buttons? Are we live? There we go. Are we on this one? There we go. Yeah, so we are. We're going to have a wonderful evening, and then we've got Mr. Tobias's birthday on Sunday as well, which we're off to a water park. So it's all systems go in the Gough household. It always is. And yeah, thanks for the nice comments, Jason, there on Instagram. So lots and lots and lots of good stuff happening. I hope you are good. It is Friday afternoon here in Orlando, and we're gonna end the week on a high, and we're gonna answer your questions. But we're also going to announce something massive. I was just teasing it a moment ago. Live from Orlando, from the Planet Paul headquarters studios, the major announcement coming out of Orlando right now is that. Are you ready? Do we have a drum roll? Drum roll, please. Do we have one? Okay, can we get one for next time?
Yeah, I got you.
We need a drum roll. And in fact, can we just do a fake one like we're poor? We haven't got the money for the sound effects. Drum roll is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners all across the world, PPM Live is now open for your registration. You can join the pre-sale list as of right now. It started at 11 o'clock this morning, and the uptake has been tremendous. Thank you. We're just blown away whenever we do this and people show so much interest in the podcast or the shows or the episodes or the events that we do around the world. And it's not lost on me the number of people listening who do take part in the next step, if you like, coming to be part of the Planet Paul community. So we can now officially say that the registration, the pre-sale registration is now available for you. Head over to ppmlive26.com, ppmlive26.com is the place to go, and you can register your details there. And I would suggest that you do it right now, because we're giving away free hotel rooms. If you are a brand new PPM Liver, you've never been before, you're just looking to kind of make your first steps in the Planet Paul community, like the real community, the in-person community, we've made it very easy for you. We're giving away free hotel rooms in the first round of ticket sales. So head over there right now, ppmlive26.com, and just get all of the information. There's 3 different tickets. You can do the 4-day VIP experience, you can do the 3-day gold ticket, and we've also got the silver ticket as well. So if you want the 4-day access, where you'll get to work with me on the pre-day for 20 people, we'll do the educational workshops session. I've shown now, 200 plus people how to implement workshops at their practice. The average in my company right now is $16,000 per workshop. I'll show you how to do that on the pre-day, and then the main event starts on the Friday morning at 9:30. It is Top Gun inspired, hence the Tom Cruise look today. Highway to the Profit Zone will start on Friday morning at 9:30. 250 clinic owners will pack that room out, and we'll go right through till Sunday afternoon, round about 3 p.m. on the Sunday. So it's epic. It's the 5th annual now #1 marketing and sales conference anywhere in the world for physical therapists and rehab clinic owners. If you're in private practice, you need patients, and you like the sound of what we talk about, and the sort of I hope we get the right mix of lifestyle, self-belief, confidence, business acumen, which obviously you need, commercial skills, which I talk about a lot, came up yesterday. You see a lot of these influencers, the sort of the bravado and the ego, but they don't really have much substance underneath. They don't really have really good value and really good solid commercial skills. And that's what is causing a lot of people to feel frustrated and just kind of hit a dead end. The world still rewards people who have good commercial skills, which is marketing and sales, who are willing to hire people, which involves taking a risk. They'll put their head above the water, if you like, and willing to be almost chopped off sometimes, willing to be punched in the face because business just hits you. It hits you hard. And if you are somebody that's building a business, it's very, very difficult to do it on your own, and the community that we've built is designed to help you with that. So PPM Live is our celebration. It's our get-together. The focus this year is on profit, and I'll tell you why, because you cannot keep going on thinking that 5 and 8s and 10s and 12% profit margins are fine. And I will say to most people listening to this, there's thousands of people listening to this podcast, I will say that 95% of you listening to this, 2 things are happening. You don't pay yourself appropriately on salary. So you don't even factor in your salary when it comes to your profit. So when you talk about your profit, you are considering your salary in that profit, and the whole thing's diluted. And if we stripped out your salary and you paid yourself appropriately, which, by the way, if you're in the United States, you should be paying yourself a minimum, yes, you're about to hear this right, a minimum of $150,000 in salary. And I'll tell you why that's true, because I could go and get a job now in any hospital system for $150,000. So your salary has to be benchmarked at $150,000. Then what we need to find out is how much money does the business make profit over and above that $150,000 after everybody else is paid. That tells you what we call the true profit in your business, something that we obsess over with a guy called Crabtree, who I introduced to my community. He speaks at PPM Live every year, and he revolutionized the way that we build businesses in this community because he put payroll first. And he said to me once, and it was a wonderful statement that he told me when I was in coaching with him. He said, Paul, as a business owner, you will do anything to protect salary. And what he means by that is everybody who's on salary gets paid. But the business owner doesn't put themselves on salary, and that's why they don't get paid. So you will defend salary before anything else. And what we need to look at with your business, dear listener, is are you diluting profit and salary and coming up with the number of saying I made $200,000 last year from your $1 million business? And the reality is you should have been paid $150,000 on salary, and you therefore only made $50,000 as profit in that business, which is quite simply atrocious. And I mean that respectfully. You can do significantly better than that. So we'll start day one with a real good education about what business is about, the difference between salary and profit, and I'll give you benchmarks. I'll talk to you about what other people around the industry are doing. I've got an AI intelligence platform that's plugged into over 100 clinics, and I look at every one of their P&Ls and every one of their QuickBooks. And my AI agent, Sanjay, analyzes it for me and tells me exactly what the most successful clinic owners are doing that the poor ones are not. And I can tell you it starts with you being on payroll. And if you're listening to your bookkeeper or even your accountant talk to you about how to run your business, that's probably why you're not making any money and you keep going back to them cap in hand every month asking for more advice that simply doesn't work. So you might get a little bit of a wake-up call on the morning, but I will show you real proof, data, benchmarks of very successful seven-figure businesses, how they've got to 25 and 30% profit margins after they've paid themselves 150 to 100 and sometimes 80, even $200,000 in salary. So that's the big high-level picture of highway to the profit zone. It is about profit, and it's about getting to you into that profit zone as fast as we can. So be prepared to drink from a fire hose when you get to PPM Live November the 13th. It's about getting you into the profit zone. And what people underestimate when it comes to money and profit is it's not always just about you making more money. The good thing with profit is it gives you choices and options. And so many of you are struggling right now to hire people because you simply haven't got the profit to ever be in the conversation. So you can sit there all day and think, well, there's no good staff PTs anywhere, right? And there genuinely is a shortage of staff PTs. But one of the factors that you need to consider is, are you even profitable enough to ever be able to pay the 150s, the 160s? And if you're not, you're going to struggle for the next 5 years, 10 years, because the labour shortage isn't going anywhere, and the big hospital systems have got the money that you and I and the small businesses don't. If we do the traditional business model in the PT profession, you're probably lucky if you're doing 5 to 7% by the time you've adjusted salary. So if any of this resonates, if any of it just makes you think, holy shit, like I've never even considered any of this, what the hell's Paul talking about? It's a good sign that you need to be at PPM Live. All good businesses have one thing in common: good business owners. And good business owners understand economics very, very early. And if you don't understand economics, you are literally playing blind archery, and it isn't going to end well. So please, please, please heed this warning. PPM Live is for you. We put it on for you, and it's for you to be able to leave on Sunday afternoon feeling much better about yourself and your business and understanding how to make some real money, really sit at the conversation with some good PTs who might want 150. A job ad isn't going to change the fact that they want $150,000 if they're living in a city that requires them to have or need $150,000 to live there. You've got to get your business ready to be able to handle that conversation and put you at the table to speak about it. And then there's all sorts of other things, whether it's sort of, are you emotionally ready, not just practically ready to pay it, and things like that we'll talk about as we get into the days across PPM Live. So real business conference designed to help you make lots of money so that you can have a terrific life. And that's it in a nutshell. Do we have fun? Absolutely 1,000,000,000% yes. We do every year as a different theme. We've done Austin Powers. We've done Back to the Future. We did last year Insurance Busters. And this year is a hat tip to Top Gun, a highway to the profit zone. So come and say hello. We'd love you to be part of this community. ppmlive26.com. Don't stay a podcast listener. The podcast is something that I created to keep in touch with people in between the events and to just keep you moving in the right direction. But the magic really happens when you get in a room with other successful business owners. The majority of people that you are watching and listening to online, and all of the kind of the peers that you're seeing on X and Instagram, they are running shitty businesses. Statistically, most business owners are dreadful. And if you're not careful, you'll be following some very, very bad advice. So there we go. Join the pre-sale today. And whenever you're listening to this, head over to ppmlive26.com. Every day that you delay, the price for the ticket goes up and the chance of you getting a free hotel goes down. So there we go. But that's the major announcement coming out of Orlando, and hence the reason that Tom Cruise is sat in Paul Goughy's seat today. So
I feel the need for speed.
For marketing. I feel the need for marketing, and that's what it is. I feel the need for marketing. Have we got Talk to Me, Goose? Talk to Me, Paul? Have we got that one yet?
When your ego is writing checks your body can't
You like
cash.
this one, don't you? Yeah. Yeah. Does it resonate with you? Has your father ever said this to you? Jason, your body is writing checks, or your ego is writing checks that your body just can't cash. Yeah. I know a few business owners writing checks that their bank can't cash at this point, right? I'm going to have to come up with something, a play on that one. So what is it? Your body, your ego is writing checks that your body can't cash. Yeah. Your ops manager is writing checks that the bank simply can't cash because you don't charge enough, probably. So anyway, right, what do we got today? It's Friday afternoon. We're going to answer some big questions before we leave today.
All right, we got Gabby from Austin, Texas.
Gabby?
I've been searching for a PT for 18 months. My average staff member lasts less than 5 months, and I've got 5 bad Glassdoor reviews. Is the problem actually me?
Well, it doesn't sound good at this point, does it? So let me just unpack this. We're in Texas. We have tried for 18 months for another PT. We've got Glassdoor reviews, which are not favourable, and an average tenure of 5 months for any staff member.
Yeah.
And she needs to ask me if she's the problem.
Yeah.
You serious? She's trying to ask me if she's the problem. I mean, I don't know how blunt she wants me to be in this situation, but if I've been struggling for 18 months to find somebody, I can only keep staff for 5 months, and I've got numerous Glassdoor reviews that are negative. I'd say there's a fair and reasonable chance that the problem is in the mirror with this individual. And I don't know Gabby from this far, but I'd like to just maybe shake Gabby a little and suggest that if I've been trying for 18 months to find somebody, it's safe to say that whatever I'm doing isn't working. And Gabby is one of now many, many PTs who are, let's just call it banging their head against a brick wall when it comes to their hiring process. And I suspect Gabby has refreshed the ads on Indeed or Jazz HR multiple times. I suspect that she's tried 6 different headlines on a job ad. I suspect she's experimented with $92,000 or $95,000. I suspect she's experimented with some kind of internship or residency type ad to try and entice somebody to come and work for her. I suspect she's played around with the scorecard. She's probably been working on her checklist for onboarding this person in that time as well. She's probably spoke to 17 other PTs in Texas who all tell her that they've been unable to hire as well. And she'll still go back to the job board and think that it's about changing the job ad and the title. And it isn't. It categorically isn't anymore. And this is the wake-up moment. If there's a come-to-Jesus moment for PTs right now in 2026, we're going to be in 2027 before we blink, by the way. If there is a come-to-Jesus moment, or let's call it a come-to-Paul moment, right? Come-to-PPM moment, anywhere. It is a violent shaking that is required to everybody listening to this to tell you that the problem isn't that you can't find PTs, it's that you don't make enough money to ever be reasonably in the position to hire somebody. If you've got $1 million practice and you're making 5% margins, and I've got $1 million practice making 25% margins, I'm in the conversation to hire somebody for $150,000. You're reluctantly, strangled by emotions of I don't want to as well as I can't, haggling with, desperately trying to get somebody to accept $90,000 to $95,000. And because you're unable to, both emotionally and practically, to pay $45,000, $55,000 more, that is costing you round about $300,000 to $400,000, if not more, in revenue that's not coming into your clinic. But because cash flow is so tight, and possibly the pressure at home is on you month to month, because business hasn't allowed you to create a float yet, because you haven't been in a profitable business for long enough. You've probably been in business long enough in that you've been in business for 2 or 3 years, if not more. But because it hasn't been profitable enough, it's not allowed you to take the profits out of the business and get a comfortable cushion at home. You've probably been borrowing. You've probably been living month to month, just covering rent, just covering mortgage, just covering day-to-day needs. So there's no real cushion. And there's still a very scared business owner, frightened that they are 1 month away from not being able to pay credit cards that they've racked up to get to this point in business. And so now the business is starting to mature, and you might be getting a good salary now or taking home 100, 150, And you're thinking, but I don't want to treat 35 hours a week, so I want to go hire somebody. So the job ad goes up and you think, well, what can I afford? And so you're comfortable with $95,000 and you think, well, I can just afford that. And then you realize that nobody's going to apply for a job for $95,000, and it pisses you off that they're all going to these big, horrible, ugly corporate hospitals to make 150 grand a year. Some would call them gold diggers, by the way. Some would call them gold diggers, and I think I would be one of them because they hate that job, but they'll go for money, right? That's a gold digger. It's like marrying somebody who's 90, right? Ugly and smelly. Like, you're doing it for the money, surely. That's a gold digger, isn't it, right? Yeah. Well, it's like going to these horrible, ugly, smelly corporate hospitals. You're marrying an old man, right? That's the way I see it. They're going and they're sacrificing their lives to go work in these smelly hospitals because the hospital will give them 150 grand. They hate their job, by the way, but they'll do it. So some would call them gold diggers, and I think that they would be right for calling them gold diggers. But they're going, nonetheless. And so your inability to pay that extra $55,000, which is $4,500 a month, is probably costing you at least $350,000, if not $400,000, of which another $150,000 would be profit for you, if not more. And so this is where the economics of business come into play. And this is why so many business owners get stuck, because they don't understand economics. And what we've got to do is we've got to get inside of the business and first ask, does the current business model that you are running ever allow you to ever be in the position to pay $150,000? Because it's a yes or no answer when you run the equation. And if it does, then it's an emotional decision. And we hire, and then all you got to do is go away and execute and make sure that you fill up the calendar. But we need a little bit of a cushion at home or in the bank to allow you the just nervous system calming down to go hire somebody to allow them to come in on 12.5 grand a month for you to then be able to afford comfortably, possibly paying out some of the business's savings or just the day-to-day kind of running of the business. But then you've bought yourself 90 days to go and execute on a marketing plan to fill that person's calendar up. And this is how business works. There's no other way. We have to get the business model right so that it produces profit, excess profit that the business owner doesn't need, which is why the point I raised at the start of the show today. The point of your salary is for you to be able to live off. Business owners get rich when the business makes money over and above the salary. So your salary has to be at the position, at the point that you can live off comfortably. You, your husband, you, your wife can live nicely in your home, pay for your car, pay for your groceries, pay for your vacation, pay for the kids at school, whatever it will be. You've got to pay that on salary. Now that could be 150, it could be 175, it could be 200, whatever it is. We've got to drive that salary up fast. And then what we got to do is look at how does the business make profit over and above that. And if the business can make more profit, well, we can put that away as a cushion, and then that cushion allows us to go hire somebody. And we can sit at the table and go, okay, I'd like to pay you 100, but it looks like I'm going to have to pay you 50. Well, let's break this down. It's 4 grand a month. Cool. Well, how long can I afford to pay an extra 4 grand, not 12.5, because I was comfortable paying 8. So now all we've got to do is decide between 8 and that extra 4.5. So the decision is the 4.5 or the 4, the 12 grand a month rather than the 8 grand a month. Everybody follow? 8 grand a month is 100 grand a year. 150 grand a year is 12.5 grand a month. So all I'm doing is deciding between the 4.5, not the extra 12.5. So you break this thing down and I think, okay, how can I pay the extra 4.5 grand a month to be at the table with these guys? And if I can do that for 3 months and I go away and execute on marketing, I can then pay somebody 150 grand. I don't want to do that, but that's what the marketplace is telling you. And you and I are not powerful enough to beat the marketplace. So this all goes back to, are you profitable enough? Have you got the right services? And have you got the right type of marketing in the business? And for some of you, and again, hear me when I tell you this, and this is going to be slammed down your throat for the next months and years. Some of you are overpaying on admin right now, and you're paying front desk people that you don't need to, and you're paying marketing assistants that you don't need to, and you're paying a CFO that you don't need to. And what you should be doing is replacing some of those roles with AI. And the difference in the whatever it will cost you right now, $55,000, $60,000 a year for an admin, you could get that replaced with AI for probably 70% less, 60, 70% less, a good AI. And that means you can now put that money towards hiring a PT. There are so many ways around the board. Business is chess. We got to move around the board. It's a monopoly board. We just got to avoid the nicks. We got to get up the ladders and make sure we don't fall back down. So if we understand this and we appreciate and realize that business is a serious game, but it's got rules and it's got laws, and if we play them and we play them right, then there's a fair and reasonable chance that we can get you at the table, Gabby, to have a conversation about $150,000 salaries. Now, the next problem, and I'm not getting into it on this podcast, is the emotional side of it. So even if I could afford, and many businesses listening to this could afford 150, they just won't because of their emotional feeling about that 150. They don't think they should have to pay 150. And they watch all of the shit online and on X and all of the fights and the debates, and they're probably lurking in the background thinking, look at these PTs all asking for 150. Now, the reality is that's what if they're asking, they're going to get it, right? They decide what they get paid. It's them that decide. The marketplace will decide what they pay them. More to the point, who decides these days? I tell you now who is deciding what your PTs are getting paid, and it isn't you, and it isn't me. It's the hospital systems. The hospital systems in the United States of America and the National Health in Britain are deciding what your PT gets and asks for, period. Because then they all get together online and they all say, well, I've been offered 150. And somebody's looking at that going, shit, I'm only on 120. I'm going to start looking for a job. And so they go on Indeed in their toilet break or in their kind of their lunch break at work, and they go on Indeed or they go on Jazz HR and they do a quick search for hospital jobs near me or PT jobs near me, and boom, up will come some kind of ridiculous offer from a health system that will be $175,000 plus signing on fee. And you, small business owner, you're not going to be able to compete with that in today's, if you follow the current model of running a business, you will never, ever, ever be able to compete with that. And that's the real answer that you need to hear, not the bullshit that all of these coaching companies are coming out with, telling you that you need a better job ad. They're full of shit. All of them. And they're pandering to you. What they should be saying is, sort your fucking profit out in your business model. But that's a difficult thing to do, right? So it's much easier for me to say, hey, let's just tweak your job ad, and you'll think, oh, this is cool. I'm getting some coaching for a job ad, or I'm getting a new checklist downloaded as a PDF, which you could do on fucking AI now, by the way. You don't need any of that shit. You need somebody to tell you the truth as to how business works, how commerce works, how it actually is happening out there in society, that you can't hire somebody because your business is not profitable enough. Now, what you choose to do, that's totally up to you. You can continue downloading all the checklists that you want, or we can figure out over the next 6 months, 12 months, how we change radically and quickly your business model to get you more profit in that business. And that's the answer. And Gabby, I feel for you and I get it, but unfortunately you are one of many tens of thousands of small independent PT clinics in the United States and in the UK who are hurting right now more than ever, not because patients are not available and not because patients won't spend money, because PTs won't agree to work for you for less than $150,000. And I say it, and I'm going to say it again, the new number out there that you have to be able to be ready for is 150. Now, anything less than that, good for you, right? You're getting away with it for another 6 to 12 months, but it is coming. And what I'm in favor of is a smart decision to run the business so that we could afford to pay 150 if the day comes that we had to. And that is you future-proofing your business, and that is you being in a position to solve the biggest growth problem that unites everybody in this profession, the lack of available and good PTs. And even if you've got one right now, and you've got a good one, and you're paying 110 or 120, and you think you're overpaying, if I was you, I would be having sleepless nights right now, waiting any day, it usually comes on a Sunday night, by the way, for that email says, thank you, but I'm moving on. And it's coming more frequently than people in this profession want to face up to. So your solution is undoubtedly fix the business model. And again, you can't deny AI and how it plays out in this business growth conversation. If you've got three admin right now and you're paying $50,000, or two admin paying $50,000, the reality is you need one of them. And one of them could be replaced with AI. And an AI assistant who is your virtual front desk 24/7, making appointments, booking appointments, and following up with leads. That $50,000 doesn't need to be spent on an admin anymore. We can take $30,000 to $25,000 of that, because AI it has a cost. Good AI has a cost. Free AI is shit and it'll cost you more money. Good AI has a cost, done right and developed right. But we can still save $25,000 to $30,000 a year on that, and that can be put towards a PT. So some of you are staring at the problem, right? The problem is you're overpaying your admin, and if we can free up some payroll, we can put that towards a PT who comes in, you pay them the 150, and all of a sudden we can add $300,000 or $400,000 to your bottom line, to your revenue, of which 150 of 200 of it should be yours. And this is what the smart clinic owners are doing. I keep saying it. We're moving around the board playing chess, not checkers. Checkers is only to the side, isn't it? Is it checkers? We go left or right. Chess, we can move anywhere we want. And that's what good business owners do. So, Gabby, I hate to say it, but you're one of many, and the solution isn't another job ad, and it isn't even moving from Indeed. The recruitment companies don't even have PTs to give you. They don't get them. They don't have them. They're hurting like crazy right now. From what I can gather, the only people who've got PTs are recruitment. The travel PTs, and those guys want about $250,000 a year. I heard recently a travel PT was asking for the equivalent of $20,000 a month. $20,000 a month for a travel PT. What the actual F, right? But somebody's paying it. Some hospital system is paying that much money. And this is the fight that you and I have to face up to. Yes, it's not ideal. Government, inflation, economic chaos, all that stuff. It's going to go on for another 5 years. It's a headwind, right? It's a headwind that we're fighting against, all of us in business. But it's not the problem that's going to stop growth. For every small business, anybody over $300,000, your ultimate growth constraint right now is your inability to hire good PTs. And I put it to you listening to this, many of you are hiring too many admin. And if we just freed that up and replaced it with AI, the difference in savings could be put towards better availability of PTs, and all of a sudden we can unlock the growth inside of your business. But if we can get more profitable with better, stronger marketing, and as are many of the clinics in the Planet Pod community, adding wellness, which is 2 and 3 times the margin that you can make on PT, and that's a fact. You can skyrocket your profit margins, but it's like as I said at the start, it's like people need a shake. It's like AI's here. Can I shake you fast? How hard am I legally allowed to shake you to wake you up? The AI is here, and it's not something that you're allowed an opinion on anymore. It's like going into the office without a treatment room, trying to be a PT clinic without a treatment room. I have a good idea. I'll open a PT clinic without, and I'll forget to build in an area to actually do the treatment. That's the equivalent now of ignoring AI. I'm going to run a PT clinic, but I've got no machines. I've got no gym. I've got no floor to work with my patients on. And I've got no bed either. I've got no massage oil, and I've got no exercise bands. So what have I got? Not much. I've got a space. I've got nothing. Not considering AI right now is the equivalent of that. Not considering wellness is the equivalent of that. That you're burying your head in the sand. What are you doing? Right? This is the classic thing that this profession does. It buries its head in the sand and hopes that this whole thing goes away. And AI goes away and wellness goes away. And most of them are still wondering and hoping that Google Ads will go away. Which, by the way, Google Ads is almost over. ChatGPT and AI are absolutely dismantling Google search right now. No wonder your website's not showing up. Just go take a look at your analytics. And it's not yours. It's not mine. It's not your agency. It's the nature of the game right now that people have moved from Google to ChatGPT and Claude and whatever else they use and asking it to find good PTs in the area. And if you ain't coming up on ChatGPT because you've not optimized that, there's another 20% of your search gone from your website, and that's another 5-6 phone calls a month that you're not getting right now. All of this is what's happening out there. These are the forces, if you like, the headwinds that you're facing right now. Prices are probably too low to ever seriously in the conversation. And some of you are now giving price rises out. This is what gets me. Some of you are giving price rises out or pay raises out to your staff, and you won't go back and raise the prices in your business. And you wonder why you've got a shortfall of 20, 30, 40 grand at the end of this year. You can't work out what happened. Well, you didn't raise your prices, but you raised the salaries of all your PTs. And I'll tell you what else will have happened, because this came up on a coaching call recently. A staff member in a clinic in California, who will remain nameless, asked for, I believe, another $30,000 in salary. And the business owner said, great, give me a couple of weeks. I'm working with the business coach on what I need to do to grow the profit so I can give it to you. And this jumped up jackass of a PT had the audacity to turn around and say, I can already tell you what that business coach will say, raise your prices. And they said it in a cocky, arrogant way, as if it wasn't the right answer. Because for most people listening to this, you're unable to pay your staff or keep your staff because you refuse to charge the right prices. And you struggle to charge the right prices because the marketing isn't strong enough and the follow-up isn't good enough. And you won't use AI to answer the phone, and you won't use AI to follow up with leads, and you won't use AI to create content that could be done now in minutes rather than days. And all of these advantages that other people are using, you will stubbornly refuse to do it. So now you're fighting with staff, you're fighting with yourself. I suspect you're fighting with your husband or your wife when you go home, and this whole thing's a fucking mess. And it can all be solved and sorted out because people in our profession, there's not many of them, but they are doing it. They are smashing it. But they're using all of the available resources and they're building and running real businesses. And that's what everything I've been about from day one has been about. Build a real business. I'm fanatical about business and what it takes to be successful. You find me in a coffee shop at 6 o'clock, I'll be reading a business book. And I'll be learning how business works, both for the betterment of my businesses and for the betterment of your businesses and anybody that I coach and consult with. It has always been from day one, build a real business. Real marketing systems, real marketing plans, good solid financial understanding about businesses, good leadership skills, good recruitment skills, good people management skills, and yes, scorecards and all that shit. You need that stuff. But it's not as important as the strategic level. Is the business ever profitable enough in the first place to be even at the conversation with these good PTs? And this is going to haunt people listening to this for months. And you can skip this episode if you want, but this is going to haunt you if you don't figure out your business model. And at what point do you go home, guys and girls? At what point do you go home proud of what you're doing, right? Because for many of you, I know you're not. And you're going home on a night after years of being in business and you're not proud of what you're achieving from your business. You're working very hard. You're slaving away in the office all day. You're there from 7 o'clock in the morning. You're the last one there to leave. And you're going home on a night, putting the radio on in your car and thinking, holy shit, I have to pretend to my wife or husband again that I've had a good day. And I have to pretend again this month that next month's going to be all right. And it's probably been going on for months and years for many of you listening to this podcast. And if I could give you a shot in the arm to wake you up, I hope this podcast episode is it, that you're running out of time and things won't change unless you change and unless you start to learn how to run a real business. You became a great clinical PT or physio because you went and learned how to do it. The news flash, it's exactly the same for business ownership. Put your ego aside and go and figure out how to learn real businesses and get a set of balls when it comes to managing your staff, and the ones who push back at your price rise suggestion, kick them off the fucking bus as fast as is humanly possible, because they are pushing the rock down in front of you. And you're trying to push this big fucking rock up a hill. And this is what exactly it's like running a business. You every morning wake up having to push a rock up a hill, a big fucking rock all day, every day. And what you need is people to help you push the rock up the hill, not fuckers, petulant little bastards pushing the rock back down the hill, making it twice as hard for you to do it. And that's what many of you have got. You think you've got good staff and you haven't. You've got complete arseholes who are making it harder for you to build your business. And you'll put up with it because you're too frightened to lose them. And you're frightened to lose them because you don't charge enough to ever replace them. And all you ever do is replace like for like, arsehole for arsehole, jumped up petulant little for the next jumped up petulant little. And I'll be careful of my language because I'm probably getting a triple extreme for this podcast. But it pisses me off because I know that this is the hell that you're living with on a daily basis, because I speak to 350 people every month in this community in my coaching program, and I hear the same thing when people first come in. Hey, let's do this. Oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Well, why not? Because Sally in the office, she won't like that. How long have you been with Sally? How long's Sally been in the office? Oh, she's great. She's been with me for 6 years. Newsflash, she's probably the reason you ain't making any fucking money. Yeah, but she's loyal. I know, because no fucker else will employ her. That's why she stays with you. She's useless. Nobody else would have her, or she gets a free ride with you and she knows she's onto a good thing. And that's why she stays with you. And between the two of you, you've created, she's got a cushy little life and you've got misery every single month. But you think you've got a superstar and a rock star, and the newsflash is you haven't. You've got somebody who's pushing the rock down the hill while you're trying to push it up. There's my little rant for today. It's Friday. I was in a good mood this morning. I drove to work this morning with Stevie Wonder Happy Birthday blasting out of my car, dropping my kids off at school with my matcha. And now look at the state that I'm in. Do we have a better question, please, Jay? Can we go back to celebration, like PPM and all that stuff?
Yeah, we can. I do got a good one though. I do got another good
Got
one.
another question? Come on then, one more question.
Okay.
Is that answer for Gabby?
Yeah, it's a good answer for Gabby.
Good. Will she be happy, do you think?
Yeah, I hope so. All right, we got Cleveland, Ohio. Alicia. I hired a marketing agency that promised me 40 new patients a month.
Okay.
I got 40 leads, but only 4 became patients. I'm out 15,000. Was it the right move?
Oh, it's a good one. Don't forget to get some little clips of this as well, pictures for me while we can. We're gonna do a lot of marketing around this, please, Jay. This episode, we have a situation where somebody has signed up with a marketing agency. Good, well done. Because most people listening to this shouldn't be doing their own Google Ads, Facebook ads, or leads. And you get to a point in business where it is very sensible to outsource digital, particularly marketing. Outsource your website building, outsource your SEO, although you don't really need that these days because it can be done by AI agents like Connie. You still need Google Ads and Facebook ads and all of those things. There's diminished returns now on Google Ads, so you've got to be prepared to pay a little bit more. But it's technical and it changes very frequently. And an agency often has an eye on what's happening in the marketplace. And often you're in isolation trying to do these things on your own, and you don't know what's happening. For example, the elections that are coming up, the midterms, that will cause havoc if you're in a swing state, because your price for advertising will not double, but it will rise 20, 30, 40%. So that means your leads are going to go down by 20, 30, 40%. So agencies usually have a good handle on this. They can see a macro level view of what's happening to your ad account and advise accordingly. 40 new patients a month is a big ask. And that's what I'm going to go on record as saying. 40 new patients a month is a big, big deal. That's a lot of patients, right? That is a lot of patients, because the reality of getting 40 patients, you probably needed 120 leads. So I would struggle personally to promise somebody 40 new patients a month. And I see it, and I watch people advertise this type of thing, and I'm reluctant to do it. Do I think you could get 15 new patients a month from a workshop? Yes, absolutely. Proven beyond any reasonable doubt. Do I think that from Google Ads I could get 25 leads a month, phone calls from a $1,500 to $2,000 ad spend? Yes. Do I think I could get 25 leads a month from Facebook ads from a $800 to $1,000 ad spend? Probably, right? So in order for me to get 40 new patients, I've got to probably get 120 leads, and I've probably got to spend $5,000 to $6,000 a month at least to get that level of response. And that's where it breaks for most. The agency will actually try to tell you that they can get you 40 patients, but they'll tell you that they can do it with a $2,000 ad budget, and they're often pandering to you there. $2,000 a month might get you 25 leads, right? Ish. Something along those lines. And if we work on a 1 in 3 conversion from cold traffic on Google and Facebook within 30 days, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to get 40 new patients, is the reality. So I think there might just be a little miscommunication here, and I will defend the agency. But what I'll also say as well is I wonder what follow-up system's in play here. A lot of marketing agencies, they don't talk to you about the need for a follow-up system. And in my case, my follow-up system would last for years. And I said years, not weeks and months. And that's not how most businesses operate. Most marketing agencies neglect the follow-up. We built physio funnels, because you need funnels. You need to follow up with people. You need a text message automation, you need email automation, you need telephone automation, which is now being done by AI. But the reality is some of these things could last for months and years that you need to follow up with. So when I hear this, I feel a little for the agency, because they're often overhyping, and they do have genuine intent, is usually my experience, but they just don't have the conversation with the client, because it's normally some random agency outside of the PT industry, or run by a couple of guys who've never ran a business before. All they've ever done is marketing. And so they don't understand the need for follow-up, and then trying to get a front desk girl to do that. They don't really coach you around that. And nearly always what's happening when you hear something like this, there's a little bit of an over-promising going on. Good intentions, by the way, usually, but there's no follow-up system. And I guarantee you that that's what's happening. The leads are hitting the website, they're filling out the form, they're leaving a voicemail, because most clinics don't answer their phone live anyway, which is a fact, by the way. You turn on these digital ads and you don't answer the phone. Your girl doesn't want to do it, or she's too busy, filing her nails or pushing faxes, whatever she's doing. Usually they'll do anything except answer the phone and actually try and make some money for the business. And heaven forbid they ever follow a script. But that's another story for another day. So I think there's a few things going on. If I wanted to fix any marketing problem, and hear me on this, if I wanted to fix any single marketing problem, if I'm getting 40 leads, that looks to me, on the face of it, the naive business owner would think that they've got a marketing problem. They've got a follow-up problem. I would fix your business in a week by implementing a long-term follow-up system that aggressively follows up with people with email, text message, and phone. Now, some people listening to this are going to go, that's not what I want, Paul, and I don't want to aggressively follow up. And I'm going to go, cool, as long as you're happy being broke. Because if you can find a business that has figured out how to make money and grow and scale without follow-up, please send me who they are. And there might be some really famous celebrity that everybody wants to work with, but you won't find a small business owner that's capable of getting everybody to say yes without follow-up. It doesn't happen. 1 in 10, if you're lucky, of your leads will say yes within 24 hours, and that's if you're lucky. The rest, you're probably 5 out of 10 within 30 days, and another 2 or 3 probably within another 90 days to 180 days. There's rough numbers there. 1 will convert after 350 days. There's always 1 or 2 who just won't and don't. So those are the economics that are required when building a marketing campaign. Marketing isn't just about Facebook and Google and TikTok and Instagram. Marketing starts at that level, but it finishes when the patient has been followed up with for however long they need until they say yes. And again, I'll go on record as saying, you just know that it's as predictable as clockwork. Business owners are lazy. And tweaking a job ad is easy, right? Go on Indeed, look at the job ad, scream at it, change it, and hope within 2 weeks it's changed. That's easy, but it's lazy. What takes real effort and hard work is changing the business model and the pricing and looking at implementing AI and adding wellness and managing staff and leading staff to get a better, stronger culture so that things actually happen in the business. That's a 12 to 18 month project. And that's why most people don't get involved in it. They just stay stuck for years and years and years because they take the shortcuts that lead to nowhere. When you're talking about marketing, you can't run ads without a follow-up system. And there's no follow-up that doesn't pay for itself. It's not possible. I was investing in Keep, Infusionsoft as it was back then, and it was about $400 or $500 a month when I got it back in 2013. And I'm a physio clinic owner with a couple of clinics at this point, and I'm paying $500 a month. Just making my way in marketing. But thankfully, Dan Kennedy drilled me, and I had no reason to disbelieve him, that there was no point in running digital ads without a follow-up system. There's no point in any business marketing without a follow-up system. And I believed him, and I took it to heart, and I went and implemented it, and my business turned around, and my famous story is within 13 months, I'd grew by 400%, over 400% in 13 months. And I was running a very profitable clinic with 4 locations that I wasn't treating patients with. And a lot of it was because I'd implemented follow-up, and I took leads that didn't convert, who walked into the office and said, hey, how much is it? And usually would walk out. We put a follow-up system on, and we said, hey, before you leave, can I give you this information pack? If you give me your address, I'll also send a book out. And I put people's name and email and address into a follow-up system. And somebody in my office called them 5 days later and said, hey, you came into my clinic and asked for the price and you didn't move forward. What can we do to help you? Would you like to come to a workshop? Can I give you a free first session? And all of a sudden, we started to convert leads over a 7-day, 30-day, 180-day period of time. But it was work. And you have to do it, and your staff have to get on board, and you need the right automation, and you need now AI in your follow-up systems to do this for you, because people expect better conversations than just an email or a text message that's static. But it takes work. And that's why people get rich, because they work at it. They don't rest on their laurels, and they don't think, I'm a great PT, I should get paid loads of money. And they don't think, look at me, I'm amazing, or I'm famous. And even now, I don't sit here and think, I'm rich and I'm like doing really well in business, I can switch all this off. I don't. I'm here every day marketing and talking and writing books and putting events on and marketing them and promoting them. And I could sit back and think I shouldn't have to do that now because thousands of people follow my work, and I'm beneath all that now, and I'm not, and I never will be. And the day that I get above all of that and too big for my boots, as we say in England, then my business career is over. But that's not fundamentally who I am anyway. I would candidly be doing this whether I'm worth 100 million or I go back to being worth $1. Like it doesn't make any difference to me, because I'm hardwired to do what's required to be successful. And I don't think about the trappings of success. I've launched PPM Live today to give you an example. And we will have 250 people in that room. And there will be every seat in that room sold by the time I get on stage at 9:30 on November the 13th. But not one part of me is thinking about that. And that doesn't give me the joy. The joy is in marketing it and having fun with it and doing what's required of successful behavior and showing up every day with my emails, with my social posts and my podcasts and training the team on how to follow up and how to handle objections and running webinars and sending out postcards and letters. I became addicted to those things. And because I became addicted to what that meant for me, it was inevitable that I was going to be successful. And that's exactly what happens to all of the successful PT clinics. The business owner got addicted to what is required of being successful, doing the right thing. And then they wake up one day and they go, there's an inevitability to, holy shit, look at how much money's in the bank. Look at the size of my patient database. Look at the size of the list. Look at the size of the business. Look how many people want to work for me now because I got addicted to doing the right thing day after day after day after day. And again, you've got to understand that business has rules and it has foundations and it has things that you cannot exclude. And you can't say, I want to be rich and famous and successful, but I don't want to do those pieces. I can't say that I want PPM Live to be sold out in November and not show up here every single day and talk about it and not write promotional material on it and not work with my sales team and my ads team every day now till November the 13th. And it will be every day. And sometimes I arrive in the office and think, do I need this? And the reality is financially, I don't need it. But I do need it because that's who Paul is. Paul is and has been for a long, long time somebody that just shows up and does the right thing for business and marketing and sales. And that's why it's successful and it's continued to be successful. And I hope that as you watch me and if you come to PPM Live and you see it and you see the spectacle and it will be huge and it will be grand and it will be epic, and you sit there in awe at the size of the stage and the people in the room and the grandeur of it and the fun and the energy in the room, you remember that that room got filled because Paul marketed it every single day. And that's the obsession that you need to have with whatever you do. And that's who we are. That's what we're about. That's what I am as a dad. That's what I am as a friend. I'd be kicking your ass if I was listening to you whinge and moan about something. I'd be telling you to shape up or ship out, stop feeling sorry for yourself and go do something that supports successful living. Don't be online looking at everybody thinking, I wish that was me and I wish I had that, envious and jealous, and thinking that a couple of Instagram posts and a new set of fucking white teeth and some shit that these other Instagram influencers are doing to seduce you to think that they're living successful lives. And the majority of them are not, because they're missing a foundation, they're missing a real good work ethic and how life and marketing and business really works, and a risk-taking that allows them to build something concrete. And when you just obsess over that, there is an absolute inevitability to you being successful in this world, in this life. And this is all I tell my kids all day, every single day. It isn't that hard to be successful in this life. Just don't copy what the majority are doing, because they are fairly fucking useless at the majority of it. And I tell them every day, God gave us an automatic system that caused the heart to beat and the lungs to pump air. Because if it didn't, and he didn't, and we didn't have that, most people would struggle at doing both of those two things as well, because they are that fucking useless. So don't copy them. Fall in love with what being successful is about, which is doing the right thing every day. And don't fall in love with the trappings of success, which is dreaming about the big business and the big workshop and the big event and the book being on the Amazon. Fall in love with what is required to make that book happen, and fall in love with what's required to fill that clinic up with patients. Fall in love with what's required to be a great father, a great husband, a great wife, whatever it will be. Do those things all day, every day, and inevitably it will happen for you. And there is absolute wisdom in understanding that your life, if it's good today, is a set of small decisions that in the end compound. Much like getting rich is just about compounding money over a period of weeks, months and years. Living a terrific life is just simply staying in the game long enough and making the right decisions long enough, and making small decisions compound over a period of time. And in the end, you look and you think, do you know what? I've got a terrific business. I live in a really nice home with proximity to nice schools and a nice coffee shop with nice people. And I live close to an airport that I can get to 3, 4, 5 times a year to take my kids on terrific vacations. And I've got enough money left over for a gym. or I've prioritized my health and I've put an ice bath in my home or a treadmill or some kind of studio in my house. It doesn't come overnight. But what it does eventually come if you consider that it is really just small decisions executed every single day for a long period of time. And if you just stay in the game, particularly with a vehicle-like business, man, what a terrific, terrific life is waiting for you. And I'm living proof of it. And that's why when I hear this stuff, I get so frustrated when people just try to shortcut things. Because I speak and I teach and I talk on this podcast in the exact same way that I would with my kids, whether they are 6 and now 7. Did I say 6 and 7? 6, 7.
Oh, my God.
Grayson has a T-shirt. I was 6, but I'm now 7. How cool is that?
That's
cool as shit, that or what? His mum picked that one. I'll give her the credit. But I speak to you in the exact same way that I would with my children, with nothing to hide from you, nothing to get from you. I don't need anything. I don't need your money. I don't need your fucking attention or listenership. I'm happy as shit. And I have been, and I've always figured out my own path in life, and I'd go and drive fucking Uber if I had to make money to pay for my kids' food and water on the table this weekend. And I've always had that in me, which is what's allowed me to always be self-sufficient and independent and get to the point in business and life where I don't really care whether you like my advice or not. And that's the best advice to take when it's coming from somebody who doesn't care if you like it. And the best advice comes from somebody who has there's no financial consequence between you or I. I can give you this information and this advice unfiltered. And if you like it, great. If you don't, go listen to another podcast that'll fill you full of hot air and just kid you into how it all works. And usually fucking put together by somebody who hasn't done or isn't living the life that you want. So all of this advice comes from that. The follow-up system, you will not build a successful business without a follow-up system. You do not put AI into your business right now. You are bleeding money. You are hemorrhaging money and you are growing payroll, not profits. And I hope you're proud of that. And I hope when your wife or husband asks, this month, have we made any money again this month, honey? You say, I'm really sorry. You know full well it's because you've hired more people than you should have done when you should have been using AI. And you're not making money because you won't follow up, because your ego and your pride won't let you. And when it comes to looking for new staff PT, you're going to go home every weekend and whinge to your wife or your husband and say there's just no good staff out there. And you know full well that the real answer is that your business model doesn't support your ability to have a conversation with somebody that you could and should be paying 150 grand a year, because that's what it's going to cost you to get in the game. There's millions of excuses, guys, millions of them. And if that's the life that you want, I'm the wrong podcast host for you to tune into every single day. But if you like a dose of harsh reality, some blunt truth from a guy who's living it and has lived it and has small decisions every single day over a 10, 15-year period, has frankly changed his fucking life, and I'm absolutely proud as punch to tell you that it has, you're listening to the right podcast. But I don't want you listening to a podcast. I want you fucking doing something so that your life changes as well. Not tomorrow, not the next day, not the day after. Slowly but surely, over a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year period, definitely over a 10-year period, your life will be unrecognizable if you can stay in the game long enough. And that's where I'm going to end today's podcast, because my kids finish school in 16 minutes and I like to be there on a Friday to pick them up. Especially as I've got one whose birthday it is, and he was 6, but he's now 7. So there you go. End of the lesson. Or was this a sermon today, or was this a lesson?
I'll say it's both.
Both. Well, you can't have both. You can only have one. See, that's your inability to decide. See, this is a problem with girls. You can't decide. Pick one and fucking go for it. This is the problem all of this generation have. They can't decide on anything, right? Can't decide if it's 6 or 7, right? So it's 6, 7, right? They're not sure. They can't decide whether this was a sermon or a lesson. It's a sermon, right? I've been preaching here today. Pastor Paul, I think you should call me today.
He still hasn't done the church podcast.
You're desperate for this church podcast, aren't you? You're going to send it straight to your parents. That's why, isn't it? You're going to send it to your parents, aren't you? I know exactly why you want me to do it. You're going to chop some bits up and you're going to make sure you tag your parents in it and go, look, this is exactly what I've been thinking for the last however many years. That's why, isn't it?
That's good.
Right. Lesson over. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful weekend. Turn us up for any episode that you need to go back and listen to over the weekend. I got a great message of somebody recently who was washing their car. I never thought of it. Somebody's washing their car, listening to me in a podcast. It's funny because people tell you that I listen to you on the plane or in the gym or when I go to bed. Or somebody said I went for a dump once and you were on my podcast when I was taking a shit. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that with me. And then somebody said I was washing my car all weekend and I listened to 5 or 6 of your episodes. So it's fascinating to realize from my point of view that you're listening to these shows in many different environments and many different places around the world. So thank you. I appreciate you. And we'll be back next week with another live episode of the podcast. Head over to ppmlive26.com, get on the pre-sale list and be in with a shot of the free hotels that we're giving away. This will be the best gathering of the Planet Paul community, bar none, so far. ppmlive26.com. Head over there. See you soon. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jip.